It's 6:30 here on your Tuesday morning. Our big story, Hurricane Milton, as that storm is closer to slamming into the west coast of Florida as it inches its way. And it's now considered one of the top 5 most intense Atlantic hurricanes since record keeping began.
All right, let's show you a look here, a live look at bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is I-75 southbound. People there trying to get out of Milton's way. This happening just south of Fort Myers and Cape Coral, in Bonita Springs. Folks heading south and then obviously traveling eastbound towards our location in South Florida. Tens of thousands of people being urged to evacuate to safety. Many officials warning that the storm could be deadly. The storm now a Category 4, posing potential direct hit to Tampa Bay.
All right, again, just after 6:30 here on your Tuesday, we appreciate you watching us here on NBC6 Today as we continue tracking Milton. I'm Chris Anderson.
And I'm Constance Jones. Milton is expected to make landfall along the west coast as a Category 3 storm tomorrow. And NBC6, we're on your side. The team coverage with potential impacts in Tampa and also back here at home.
Yeah, we want to start with meteorologist Chelsea Ambrose with the latest on the storm's track and the strengthening. Still a strong Category 4 storm, Chelsea.
It sure is. It is max sustained winds at 155 miles per hour. That is just 2 miles per hour shy of a Category 5 storm. Overnight, it weakened from a Cat 5 to a 4 as it was going under an eye wall replacement, meaning think of a top that you spin on a table. It eventually kind of wobbles and it needs to regain its structure, and that's exactly what this storm is going to do, regain its structure. As it turns to the north and east, now at 12 miles per hour, it's going to strengthen as it moves away from the Yucatan. It is producing some gusty winds to northern portions of the area, but the strongest of that center of circulation is just off the coast of the Yucatan. So the track and intensity shows it getting back up to a Category 5 by this afternoon, or at least later on today. Max sustained winds at 160. We are likely to see it back down to a Cat 4 as it goes into the early morning hours tomorrow. There is some wind shear that it's going to run into. Now, as of right now, it could be a high-end Cat 3, low-end Cat 4 as this continues to get closer and closer to the coast, depending on how fast that wind shear will topple the top of this storm. But I don't even want to say weaken it, because still a major hurricane at this point. Notice how far reaching outside of the cone those impacts are going to be felt. Places well away from the center are under hurricane, or I should say well away from landfall, are under hurricane warnings. That's everywhere in red. We have the tropical storm warnings in blue, watches in yellow, even hurricane watches in pink. And so widespread power outages are possible, life-threatening storm surge as that system works its way in. Plus the flooding threats from fresh water. So the rainfall for us, we're looking at about another 2 to 4 inches of rain. But check out this swath. We could see upwards of 12+ inches in some spots from Tampa up towards Jacksonville. And so the rainfall is also going to be another factor in this system. The surge is going to come into the bay, anywhere from 10 to 15-foot surge into Tampa Bay. Port Charlotte could see upwards of 10-foot surge as well. We're dealing with rainfall and flooding concerns back home, but this isn't associated with Milton. This is with another low that's moving away from our area, still though producing some showers and thunderstorms, frequent lightning back out towards mainland Monroe and north of the Keys, and pushing away from the area. But we are seeing some of that steady rainfall. Southern Miami-Dade through the Keys could see several rounds of heavy rain. We're starting to see it work into Broward already, and in Miami we're starting to see some heavy rain. So slow morning commute possible with the tropical moisture that's still working through the area. Not just are we dealing with showers today, but these storms could produce isolated spin-ups for a tornado or two. But going into tomorrow, our tornado risk does go up. Quick spin-ups, they're quick and brief, but they still could do damage. So you could still see some palm fronds thrown around, even maybe weak structures. You might see some of that minor damage to a roof. But for now, scattered showers expected today. Notice the outer bands start to work into our area overnight. It will not be widespread steady rain ongoing tomorrow, but any of the rain showers that we do see will come with intense wind, as well as that tornado threat as the storm then moves onshore and places closer to the Tampa area. But I'll have more on the forecast, and we'll keep looking at information coming from the National Hurricane Center throughout the morning.
All right, Chelsea, thank you. And as you saw in that latest forecast, Tampa is in the crosshairs for a direct impact from Milton. Evacuations are well underway, with thousands of people getting out of that area.
And our own NBC6 reporter Julia Bagg joins us live this morning. She left yesterday to travel all the way to Tampa to see the efforts there.
Yeah, and Constance, Chris, I can tell you everyone we have spoken with this morning taking this storm seriously. Here are some of the materials, plywood and sand ready to put up here where we are near the port of Tampa. And let me show you something else. Inside this gas station, you can take a peek at what's very popular right now, these gas canisters that people have been buying this morning as they also put gas in their cars. Now, also, we've seen sandbags already going up in downtown Tampa. If you were with us early this morning, was kind of our first stop, a very, very quiet area, but already preparations going into place to protect some buildings there from potential flooding. You've been hearing Chelsea Ambrose tell us that if indeed Tampa is in the bullseye, we could see in some areas up to 15 feet of that storm surge. And so that certainly is a major concern. Also, alert signs are all over town. You can hardly go very far without running into one of those signs letting you know to stay alert and to follow some of the evacuation orders that we've seen in some of the zones here in Tampa that are closest to the water, with I-75 traffic heavy at times as people move away and continuing to do that from last night into this morning. And then others, as we've been mentioning, topping off their gas tanks as they try to come to terms with the reality of Tampa and this Bay Area facing back-to-back hurricanes. Take a listen.
It's hard to honestly put into words, you know, because Tampa's been lucky for so long that now it's just like, it's just hard to kind of comprehend, really.
And so good news, plenty of gas at this Citgo gas station on East Adamo Drive here by the Tampa port. And we've been speaking with people who've just been making their stop here as they head out to perhaps further inland. The woman we spoke with, Diana Davila, she lives in Brandon, so she's going to be hunkering down with her family there. Stay with us on NBC6. We'll be tracking the storm here in Tampa, and we'll share with you what we are seeing right here on the ground. For now, Chris and Constance, we'll send it back to you in South Florida.
Julia, thank you for the update. We do want to stay in Tampa now. Let's give you a live look in Tampa as evacuations continue. This is bumper-to-bumper traffic right now.
Yeah, this is some pictures we showed you a little bit earlier. This is I-75 southbound in preparation for the hurricane. Tens of thousands of people being forced to evacuate the area. Mandatory evacuation orders in place. The tolls on these roadways here off of I-75 and Alligator Alley are completely gone. They'll be reinstated on Monday at noon on October 14th.
The bad news is it is slow moving. The good news is this shows that people are getting out. Tens of thousands of people sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic yesterday. I-75 in Tampa. Officials are urging people to be patient as they leave because so many people are doing the same thing. Let's shift our focus back here to South Florida, and we are continuing to watch the conditions here. Again, Chelsea showed us another system unrelated to Hurricane Milton right now that is bringing some rain showers across South Florida right now. You see the rain on the lens. This is not associated with Milton. It's another tropical system moving across our region right now.
Yeah, more than a dozen temporary pump stations are being set up across the city of Miami to prevent further flooding. Evacuation shelters also being set up today.
Let's go to NBC6's Bree Buckley. She is live with more on the preparations in both Miami-Dade and in Broward counties. They're getting these pumping stations set up, Bree, in the areas that are expected to see the most flooding to try and prevent any disasters.
Yeah, and the county says it's ready for flooding, some left over like we're seeing in this area here from that recent rainfall. And you mentioned the forecast. We did feel some bit of a shower here that has since cleared up in the last about 20 minutes. But we are having people come here from evacuation zones on the west coast to ride out the storm here with us in South Florida. We spoke to a woman who lives in Estero, roughly 10 minutes away from Fort Myers in the path of Hurricane Milton. Yesterday morning, Adriana Albello Hermida got the emergency alert on her phone, and another one from her apartment complex telling her to evacuate. She says she grabbed everything she could, quickly fit into her car before hitting the road, sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic to get out.
I'm definitely relieved that I'm with my family, but a part of me still is very nervous about what going home is going to look like and going back to Fort Myers. Is my apartment still going to be there? Is it going to be underwater?
The city of Miami is trying to prevent flooding with more than a dozen temporary pump stations being set up in flood-prone areas. For those living in mobile homes, the county is opening an evacuation center at this pavilion in Tamiami Park that opens at 10 a.m. today. Back out here live, county officials are encouraging everyone to be prepared, stock up water, food, those essential items that you may need for at least 3 days, just in case. For now, reporting live, Bree Buckley, NBC 6 News.
Bree, some good advice there. Again, we don't know what we're going to see. We're not going to get a direct hit, but we could get the heavy wind, the high wind, the heavy rainfall. Let's give you a live look in Fort Lauderdale this morning, where obviously there are flooding concerns across parts of Broward County. We've seen it in the past, and people are fearing it could happen again. Many people are on edge after the severe flooding that we saw last year in April. Broward is not going to take a direct hit from the storm, but again, there's always the threat of heavy rain, the powerful wind, and that flash flooding.
I'm not driving. I'm not driving. Once the water starts rising, because I live in Fort Lauderdale, so once the water starts rising, I'm not going to be driving too much.
Yeah, again, remember, you don't know how deep that water is, so turn around, don't drown. That's the motto when you see standing water. Fort Lauderdale's Mayor Dean Trantalis says the city is more capable now of managing that excess water than it was before.
All right, as far as our local transportation goes this morning, the Broward County Transit System, Miami-Dade Transit, and all Tri-Rail, well, they are moving along this morning, but they're monitoring the hurricane conditions, but will continue regular operations at least at this time. The Brightline train, however, will be stopping its operations all day tomorrow and Thursday between West Palm Beach and Orlando. Brightline services between South Florida stations are expected to continue with normal operations.
For everything you need to know about Hurricane Milton and the most up-to-date information, scan that QR code right there on your screen. Take out your phone, get your tablet. It's going to take you to our live weather blog, where our team of First Alert meteorologists and hurricane experts are updating it as that information comes in. 6:43 is your time. We do want to get a check of your roadways, where we have seen busy conditions out of the Tampa area trying to get here to South Florida, some of them.
Yeah, Bonita Springs is what you're looking at here. This is I-75 southbound, just south of the Fort Myers area. Folks trying to travel to our location to take Alligator Alley. The tollways are open there. You're not going to have to pay any tolls, but a lot of evacuees, tens of thousands of evacuees, I should say, heading to our location this morning ahead of the storm. So we're going to keep our eye on I-75, as that's going to continue to be a headache for drivers traveling into our location with Milton.